Welcome back to Atlanta Live. We just had David Cooper on, awesome pastor of mine at Mount Paran Church of God. Just love having him on tonight. And also we have a fabulous next guest. If you've ever been through any trauma or any loss in your life, our next guest has been through that, and she is here to tell her story and how she's helping others in the community to deal with the death process. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Miss Jameson.
Yes.
Haverkamp.
Yes.
And it's pronounced German like?
Haverkamp.
Haverkamp.
Yes.
Okay,
Very good.
Well, go ahead. Tell us about yourself and what your purpose is and where you're going.
Sure. Well, when I was 30, I lost my father to cancer, and it really turned my world just upside down. And I grew up in a Christian home where I learned, the Christian values and how you treat people, but I was never really taught, to develop a personal relationship with Christ or with God. And so this really, just set me back. And at the time, I was living in California, and after my mother was widowed, she was in Richmond, Virginia. So we were all the way across the country from each other. And all I knew to do the years after my dad had passed away, I just went on this spiritual kind of, inner retreat and journey. And there was a church around the corner from where I lived, and I just knew every Sunday to just go sit in the pews and listen to this minister from St. Louis, just hear these sermons, and it was just really comforting to me. And I would, sit there and mostly just cry and just listen, and I just felt really comforted. And I think that's when I just kind of began my journey back to Christ. I just knew that brought me a lot of comfort being there.
And sometimes it takes in all of our lives something that will bring us to our knees to realize that a relationship, not just being saved, is so important. And then you realize that when the death of your father, and then going through this, and being able to grab on to our King like he wanted us to.
I think what it really was too is it was like, wow, life is really out of my control.
Right.
A power greater than me took my father's physical body away from this earth. Like that hit me with such force that, I am human, and there is something bigger than me. And, I think it just shot my ego, to smithereens.
Broke down that pride that we all have,
it pretty much did.
Yes,
and
exactly.
it forced me to really look, to all the stuff that I really hadn't, at that level. So after a couple of years of that, actually back in 2005, I ended up moving back to Atlanta where my mother had moved to work on some family business matters that we had to take care of, where I had to be in that place. And I was geared toward Buckhead Church by a friend of mine. And that's where I ended up turning my life over to Christ and really developed a great Christian community of friends. And they have a lot of great programs there, and got in a small group of women
that's very encouraging.
That to this day, I was in one for 18 months, and now I'm in a new one.
Wow.
And it's just a great support system.
What was the thing that you heard? I know that you said that it was because of death, but what was it? You were sitting there and you're reaching for the comforter that the Lord is, but what was it that you heard in a sermon that said, you know what, I'm going to make this extra step. I'm going to make this extra commitment. What was it besides the death of your father? Something you heard in a message.
I heard in a message one time how we're always between storms.
Right.
And how, we're all just shifting sands, and how people are just shifting sands. And the only thing that is a strength in a storm is God, who's going to be a stability in a storm.
Relating you right back to the death of your father. Yeah.
And I just and that just has stuck with me forever. And it really it struck me to the core of we are all in between storms, no matter where you are. And even though I went through a big storm, I'm sure another one's coming.